Welcome back to Data Center News India, as it appears to be this week. That was my hilarious banter. There's two reasons for that. Firstly, because I am in Mumbai right now. I'm sat in a rather beautiful hotel, although I'm having some difficulty getting the Wi-Fi to work consistently. Um, and the other reason is because the vast majority of the stories this week are from the subcontinent, and the 800-pound limit is of India is becoming within Asia's data center landscape. You'll notice that I am, of course, solo. There has been no breakup between me and James. We're not just recording separate news. We just happen to have had that sort of middle of the year kind of family vacation time. James is in another data center hotspot. He's in Australia, although I believe he's indulging in some family uh, wine tasting and nature tours and stuff based on his social media. So it is just me. Let's get on to the India news, shall we? So India, as you may or may not be aware, is a monster of a market to become. So currently, if you look on the DC Byte database and you look at the live supply, we're looking at a market that's around a gigawatt and a half of live capacity in India. So, not a small market by, I guess, 2020 standards. That's, 30% more than Singapore or Hong Kong. Pretty substantial. But when you look at the yeah, massive population, the e-commerce, the technology sector in general, the outsourcing, the the business of a customer that India is for the tech sector, and its potential, and its obviously massive economic growth as well. It's pretty tiny and pretty underserved, which explains why, if you look at the total supply, which is a number that James and the DC Byte team used to characterize all of the announced planned capacity of the market. We're looking at over 11 gigawatts for India, which is enormous. That's yeah, that's going to be no shortage. And both, by the way, most of these announcements are, I'd say, at the latest, 2028, 29. I mean, there's some planned stuff that's longer on the horizon, but realistically, these press releases are for stuff that they want into RFS in the next 3 years. And the construction timelines in India are really quite condensed compared to some other markets. We're looking at buildings springing up in years 12 months in some areas of I remember. I think there's a lot of challenges here. Don't get me wrong. At the meetings I've been having this week, people are still talking about um, different integrations with contractors, supply chain constraints, lead time on equipment, of course, government relations, community relations as well. As a highly densely populated areas. We're building buildings that are using enormous amounts of power. So there's lots of challenges to overcome, but yeah, lots and lots of progress being made. Which makes the first story a little bit of an interesting one because there was reported on. So CNBC had comments from Alok actually over at NTT, as well as a couple of other industry figures, and they were talking about hyperscalers pausing data center leasing due to trade uncertainties. We're not data center politics, Asia, but in case you have been living under a cave, in some sort of cave, cut off entirely from the news media. India-US trade relations at the moment becoming a little strained. There's been historically a very good relationship, particularly in the technology sector between the two countries. Recently, there were announced big tariff increases, which were stated to be in conjunction with India's other trade relationships, which are part of the BRICS group, where they have continued to be a major purchaser of Russian oil. Microsoft cut off Indian energy firm Ayara from the cloud services following EU sanctions on the company, which is a majority owned by Russian oil Rosneft. Um, there's also the H-1B drama that's unfolding, which has been a long-standing movement of people. Not a direct agreement between the United States and India, but that's the majority direction of travel for uh, job seekers and for skilled tech professionals into Silicon Valley. So lots of things bubbling at a political level that we cannot influence directly in this sector. But apparently leases paused, which would contrast with my next couple of news stories. So Google have confirmed a $15 billion data center project. This was previously reported as a gigawatt of data center capacity. As is often the case with these things, hyperscalers will drip feed press releases as and when they want to show their level of investment in a country. And there's all sorts of marketing reasons for them doing that in different ways. But I think James actually covered this part of this story whilst I was on my honeymoon in America. Um, but yeah, so this has now been confirmed. The latest details that I saw on this story that are public are confirmed that companies AdaniConneX and Airtel will be part of the so Airtel Nextra as their data center brand will be part of the uh, project to build this AI hub in the city of Visakhapatnam on India's east coast. So this is the opposite side to where I am right now in Mumbai. And yeah, I mean, this would translate as it's really hard to tell. They mentioned a gigawatt, $15 billion. There's also a cable landing station coming into the area. There's going to be presumably power developments around that. I mean, India is bringing on literally 10 gigawatts of renewable energy, onshore wind, solar, bio, biofuel or bio waste generation, waste to energy, um, offshore wind projects. There's lots and lots of power development happening across India as well as transmission distribution development. So yeah, that's what Google are announcing. No word on whether AdaniConneX and Airtel and Metro will win all of that work, but certainly they have been announced as partners on it. So congratulations to those guys. That's a huge win, potentially, and it's an interesting new geography. Tata have announced a gigawatt data center build out. So this is kind of interesting because Tata Group and TCS, their technology unit is, it's a global monster. It's one of the biggest employers in the world in terms of staff and technology businesses. But naturally in India, it's a titan locally, huge amounts of influence, access to vertical supply chains, access to construction and contracting relationships, but also a potentially a slow moving behemoth. So a gigawatt announced, not much more than that, just world-class AI capacity with India announced on earnings call. So, good for the share price, obviously. Read into that what you will. Um, Speaking of listed stocks, Sify Infinite, which is the that is the data center. Sorry, Sify Technologies is the parent company. Sify Infinite Spaces, the data center brand, backed currently by Kotak Private Equity. They announced their plans to IPO. Jane Van Gunn, especially $500 million US. With their first domestic listed one. Oh, sorry, we actually covered it a few weeks ago, but it seems to have some updates on the filing. And Sify also broken ground this week on a new 50 megawatt data center and their cable landing station in Vizag. Mapletree also announced, this was reported in the Financial Express, that they're planning to invest $500 to $700 million in a 400 megawatt data center. That would probably suggest that they're going to be the landlord. Maybe they're going to buy the land. I mean, that's not the price of that's not the capex involved in building and operating data center of that size. I know my old $10 million a megawatt matchstick calculation, Matchbox calculation doesn't hold much water in India these days. It's the cost of construction is becoming lower, but yeah, certainly you won't get 400 megawatts for 5 to 700 million. So one would assume that Mapletree will be doing that in conjunction with operators. And lastly, on India, this is not really data center, but it's a nice segue into my quick Japan news. SoftBank's GraphCore business have announced another $1 billion investing in an AI engineering campus. So, I mean, this is effectively going to be a tech uh, compute kind of, I guess, center of excellence, maybe. Yeah, they're doing chip design as well. Well, it's just more domestic use case. It's more compute demand. Yeah, probably a little bit contrary to my initial story report on CNBC about pause. But I think that it is, to be fair, a pausing of pen hitting paper from some hyperscalers, but it doesn't necessarily slow down in the demand. Um, On to East Asia. It's not just data center news. India, it just happened to be well timed that I'm here whilst a load of news pumps out of the out of the subcontinent. SoftBank, nice little segue there, and Oracle have teamed up on a sovereign cloud in Japan. Oracle's Alloy, which is one of their OCI suite, are going to be launching a sovereign cloud system in Japan. SoftBank, so Oracle don't typically build their own data centers outside the United States or haven't time of reporting publicly. So they will be using SoftBank data centers. SoftBank obviously do not have the amount of capacity. I think it's listed as GPU, or I mean, yeah, it's going to be a large amount of capacity that will be required to launch this cloud system. But that means SoftBank will continue to build data centers. They do have a data centers across Western Japan. So yeah, exciting. NTT broke ground in Osaka as well. This is the first of their two buildings on 18. This is an 18 megawatt building on a 36 megawatt campus in Ibaraki city, which is Osaka Prefecture. It's like 20 kilometers out of central Osaka. That was on NTT's LinkedIn. Finally, Southeast Asia. I've got a couple of minutes left. So, Digital Edge. There we go. Fans of the show and using them here in India at least this week. They have secured a $325 million loan facility to build their second Jakarta data center. So this is not the one with the E down the side. This is the one a couple of kilometers away. They are quite centrally located. This is the final phase of completion for that building. It's H2, it's called 23 megawatts. The loan was provided by BCA. Oh, okay. Bank Central Asia. This is an Indonesian local firm, so I assume they got some big project financing rates on that. And BW Indonesia have also topped off their data center in Batam, BW Digital, sorry, I should say. So they pushed this up on their LinkedIn as well. Facilities called in the P1, which is Longster Digital Path 1, so more creative naming in the data center industry. And yeah, this is going to be the campus when built will be 144 megawatts. When that all comes up and running in Batam, which is going to be Singapore plus special economic zone of Indonesia and the Riau Islands. That's the level. All right, that wraps up the news from me this week. I will hopefully be back with James next week. I'm starting to miss him spiritually. Next events we have up and coming. I'm going to study media in Bangkok. I'll be very active in Thailand this year. That's in November. I think it's June events, there's 5 or 6 events before then. Yeah, it's the busiest travel schedule of the year, except for Gibson, that I know of. And I guess then our next big partnership now is PTC. We're coming to the end of the year, so looking forward to getting content out in Hawaii. Happy Friday, everyone.